I think Virginia was one of the first states to embrace the concept of shared services and consolidation, and not just talk about it, but to take some very affirmative steps in order to actually make it happen. And by that, I mean that the executive leadership of the Commonwealth, the governor, the General Assembly, worked together to create this central services agencies with appropriate authority and accountability to go achieve that business goal around shared services. So, back before the creation of our agency, there were roughly 80 plus government entities in the executive branch, all of whom managed technology separate and apart. They were in silos. Everyone had different PC contracts, multiple data centers, no enterprise network, no patching, no enterprise service level agreements, no enterprise licensing for all the major software that was being consumed by the state. I think there were a dozen different email systems. That pattern repeated itself. So I think we were one of the first, and so today we're still not completely finished. We're about 96% complete with transformation. And so the benefits of that uniform, consistent, reliable, secure infrastructure, where we achieved a critical mass about 2 years ago, maybe 3, is what's enabled us to really step on the gas and do things today that we could not have dreamed of doing just a few years ago, or even doing things today that we don't even give a second thought to. And there are a lot of examples of that. But I think that that's one area where I believe that we were, at the time, a step or two ahead of maybe where some other states were. But a lot of other states have either are doing the same thing or even leapfrogged us in some specific areas, though it's been an interesting journey during that 10-year period of time. I think the best thing absolutely are the people who work in the agencies who are remarkably dedicated to serving the citizens of the state. And I know government employees get a bad rap, but I think most citizens, if they could sit, spend some time inside of our walls or any other agency, they would find just dozens and dozens, hundreds and thousands of dedicated public servants. I mean, these are their friends, their neighbors, sometimes their relatives, who are very dedicated to doing the right thing, sometimes under very difficult circumstances. And so that's one thing that I find very satisfying about working in state government is the people. I know the folks who work for me are very bright, very hardworking. I can just cite many examples of weekends, holidays, vacations, people dropping what they're doing to take care of some pressing matter, and that happens over and over again. Nobody sees it, nobody knows about it. There are no accolades for doing that, but people just quietly do their jobs because they know they need to and they want to. And I think in terms of the challenge, we talk about people, process, technology, and then to me the fourth dimension is leadership. So we find that the technology is the easy part. It's the people component of managing change, institutional resistance, which seems to be inherent in government, state, local, or federal, to doing different things. So that's managing people's expectations, helping people understand what it is you're trying to do, articulating a vision, being very specific about what next steps are, what people should expect, when things will happen. That is something that is often overlooked, but is so entirely critical to being, to achieving success and achieving goals, is the people component. So I would say that would be the most challenging piece of it. I would have to say the overall consolidation effort in state government. And the reason for that is that I've been very fortunate during my career, which has been mostly spent in the private sector, a lot of my career was spent in a couple of different roles where I got to see pretty up close what was going on with agencies and within government generally about how they manage the technology. So to have 15 or so years ago seen those challenges, had a vision, when the vision was combined with leadership and resources, we were able to actually do something that I think was pretty profound, and it absolutely has provided benefits to the citizens. So, seeing that all come to pass is very satisfying. But it's also, as you look forward, there are lots of challenges moving ahead, and so we can never rest. There's always something else that needs to be done and that you want to do. Probably a couple of key areas that I know that State Scoop talks about a lot, which is just the changes in technology are as much driven by individual citizens' use of technology. The nearly ubiquitous availability of the internet, mobile computing, mobile apps, just the entire way we think about technology, even from just 5-6 years ago, is very different. And I think it was just maybe this week that Facebook launched about 10 years ago. And just think about how that one concept has changed how we think about how we consume and produce information and interact with people just through that one single internet application. Has been pretty profound. So my point is that citizens' expectations have changed dramatically, and the technologies have really broken through a lot of age barriers, cultural barriers, economic barriers, and so state leaders have had to meet that challenge, and we haven't entirely gotten it yet, but there are a lot of areas where we have gotten it. So to me, that's one of the areas where it's changed the most, is that the public's expectation is really just a step or two above where we are, ahead of us. And we're pedaling pretty fast, but we'll probably be behind for a while. The other big thing is the way that we provision IT services is very different. We used to have a bricks and mortar view of how you provision IT services for agencies so that they can serve the citizens. Today, we think about cloud computing and virtualized environments and a different form of outsourcing. And so how you manage those relationships is completely different than how you manage and secure and oversee data when the data itself is physically located in your four walls. It's very different when it's not. So those are other things that I think have brought some pretty dramatic changes in the last 5 or 6 years. I guess this is every CIO sort of plays this card, and I don't want to overplay it, but and it has to do with security. And so, our top priority, one of our top priorities, is securing the state networks and citizen data from unauthorized access. And as you know, our networks in Virginia are attacked hundreds of thousands of times every single day. So our cyber enemies, if you will, our enemies are tenacious, they're sophisticated. What they're trying to do is insidious at times. It ranges from everything from the guy who's sitting in his pajamas in mom and dad's basement to a state-sponsored attack on our networks. So, we have to do those nuts and bolts things. And I sort of have a saying that is that it's not a matter of when, but if we have a security issue in the state. What we don't want to see happen is for the bad guys to sucker punch us. So let's make sure that we've got all the basics covered that we possibly can. If we get outsmarted, we get outsmarted. But let's make sure that we've done everything that we possibly can do to meet that responsibility. And so that's one of the things that we think about a lot, and it's going to continue to consume a lot of our thoughts, because
if for the citizens to be able to trust government and government to trust citizens, we have to be able to demonstrate that we can keep these systems secure, and yet it's extremely difficult to do when we're under constant attack the way that we are.